Hey guys, what's going on? Back at you again with another YouTube video. So today I got something pretty special. I'm gonna walk you through some of the learnings I had when I was listening to one of the probably the best DTC podcasts currently called Limited Supply, and they recently released a new episode that featured a talented DTC operator. His name was Ben, and he's basically the president of True Classic. True Classic basically is an apparel brand for men, and they were able to scale True Classic over 2 years to nine figures. So really impressive, and I just learned a ton from that podcast, from that episode specifically. So wanted to walk you through some of the learnings that I think will be super important and insightful that going to apply to your business overall in the D2C space in 2023 and onward. So if you are a D2C or e-commerce founder and you haven't heard of Limited Supply, I highly recommend you to check it out. And this was the episode I am talking about. It was released on March 29th, and the name of the episode was called How the President of True Classic is Disrupting D2C. So it was an hour and 10 minutes, and it was really full of nuggets, insightful information and knowledge. So again, highly recommend you to check it out. And also, if you don't know what True Classic is, as I mentioned, it is an apparel brand for men, and they started really in 2019, and they were able to grow to nine figures per year just over 2 years. And so it's very impressive. So I was really keen on hearing how Ben was able to help their brand to grow at such a fast rate. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Jackie. I'm the founder of Star Talk Social. We are an UGC-focused creative agency that help brands make high-quality video content that lowers acquisition costs and increases returns on ad spend and profitability. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing Ben touched on once he started to really explain how he was able to grow the brand so quickly was the fact that the brand overall wasn't really operating under the mindset of revenue first, profit second. So this has, become so popular over the past few years because of the macroeconomic conditions that we lived in. It was also pumped by VC or other, factors that kind of led to an environment where most businesses don't really care about profitability. Most of them are only, in it for the growth, for the scale. But at this stage in 2023, things are changing. People and investors and the markets no longer, just only look for growth and scale. Unprofitable brands are being heavily discounted due to their inability to create profitability for their investors and equity holders. So if you have heard of recent news about Warby Parker, Alberts, or Casper, that these public listed D2C brands are really facing some strong headwinds because their inability to reach profitability ever since they went public. So these are some of the real issues that these D2C brands are facing. And overall, I think the market sentiment is these brands are just nowhere near as valuable as they were probably 2 to 3 years ago. So in Ben's eyes, they really operate under the fact that we need to always focus on profitability rather than just revenue or growth. So I think this is a pretty telltale sign for many of the D2C founders that you need to focus on profitability. It's no longer a game of just revenue and growth. And the second thing Ben really started to talk about was numbers. Throughout the podcast, so throughout the episode, you could clearly tell Ben is a very data-driven person. So he really applies an analytical lens to everything he does at True Classic. And this is also what he recommends people do. A lot of the D2C founders kind of lack this analytical approach to marketing or just overall operation. And I think this is really a superpower that D2C operators and founders need to have. So if you're a founder that isn't really an analytical person, you need to find someone. You need to hire someone who loves numbers, who just likes to get into the weed of get into the weeds of, numbers, data, and just like look at things through an analytical approach. So you must have someone on the team who does that. And also here, Ben mentions a pretty important concept, which is they don't really, a lot of people, a lot of the brands really like to throw out the big words such as ROAS, CPA, or stuff like that. But really, it all comes down to profitability. Along the lines of first principle thinking is really all about how many dollars you're able to make back by every dollar you are spending. That is, really simply the universal truth that every brand should just follow. So if we strip out all the fluff, this is the only thing that you should care about the entire time. So again, how many dollars you are generating back by each dollar you are spending. And also understand the P&L. You need to have a great and deep understanding of the numbers. What are some of the costs? What's the profit margin? What's the true profitability of your brand? What's the true acquisition cost? And all those things you just need to have an idea of. So third lesson I was able to learn from that episode was really advertising is such an integral part of every D2C business. So the conversation on paid ads advertising starts to get a bit stale because essentially this is what every brand is already doing. We all know advertising is the way to grow and to scale. However, I think what Ben said in that episode was very refreshing. You need to think of advertising as a way to stay relevant. It keeps the brand on top of your customers, your audience mind. Advertising isn't sexy all the time, but it's so important because not only you're able to track because advertising allows you to not only able to track the direct conversions that are getting out of each ad, but you're also able to benefit from the indirect traffic. If you implement post-purchase survey and you have a question where you ask customers, where did you first hear about our brand? And you're able to see some patterns, maybe people just saw one of your ads 2 or 3 months ago or a week ago, and they didn't really buy straight away, but they kind of, wanted, but some occasions came up and they thought of True Classic in this case, and they might just went directly to the website and bought from there. So, in those instances, you can't really attribute those things to pay advertising directly. However, it was because they saw an ad. So they were able to, have True Classic or whatever brand in mind when the timing does seem right. So I think what Ben is really so I think the bottom line here is advertising is still so important, and you need to really have that dialed in, which leads to our second point: creative. True Classic has great and high quality creatives. If you look them up on Facebook, YouTube, you can tell that their content is so dialed in. And even Ben admits on the episode that the reason why they were able to grow so fast was because of the high quality creatives they were able to create. And brands, and it's no coincidence that brands with the best creative will always win. They will always go far beyond their competitors. So this is such an competitive edge over other brands when you have great creatives. So my advice to founders is really invest aggressively in creatives, especially high quality creatives. These are investments rather than cost, because in today's world, every brand is fighting for attentions, is really competing for clicks. And the only reason someone will click on your ad or your content is because how they make them feel, or how the content is resonating. So without content, without creative, you really don't have a business. You cannot build a brand. So really, that's the lesson there. So if you are a D2C founder that is struggling with getting high quality creatives, be sure to check out other videos I have created, and be sure to also book a call down below with us to figure out how we're able to provide the best quality creatives for your brand to lower cost of acquisition and increase return on ad spend and profitability. The final lesson I learned really, is really applicable in 2023 and onward, which is AI. It has become such a big topic everywhere regarding ChatGPT, how it's able to help you, and different ways you're able to use other AI tools to facilitate and improve efficiency. And I also am such a big fan of using AI to help you speed up the process of different things that you're working on at your business. So I was super glad. So I was super glad to hear Ben was actually talking about this, and I'm sure he is exploring and using AI tools to help him facilitate and grow his business. So those are pretty much the lessons and some insights that I have gathered from that interview and podcast episode. So if you like this video, be sure to check it out yourself about the conversation they had on limited supply. So if you want to see more video like this, be sure to give a like and a comment down below. I will catch you guys at the next video.